We're following fast-moving breaking news on the push to impeach President Trump for his role in the deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol. CNN has now obtained a new draft article of impeachment in which House Democrats charge Mr. Trump with incitement of insurrection. It may be introduced as soon as Monday. And just a short while ago, the White House fired back, saying impeachment would be politically motivated and further divide the country. Also tonight, President-elect Biden is demanding an investigation of the damage done by President Trump, saying he encouraged a mob like we've seen in third world dictatorships. But the incoming president is declining to take a stand on impeachment, saying that decision is up to the U.S. Congress. Let's go to our chief White House correspondent, Jim Acosta, right now. Jim, as impeachment clearly is gaining momentum, once again, the White House is in crisis mode and just released a new statement. Update our viewers.
That's right, Wolf. The White House just released a statement in the last couple of hours on these pending impeachment proceedings, which seem to be moving very rapidly. We can show you that statement, put it up on screen. It says a politically motivated impeachment against a president with 12 days remaining in his term will only serve to further divide our great country. The White House calling this impeachment process that may be starting politically motivated. Obviously, House Democrats don't feel that way. They say it's absolutely necessary after what happened 2 days ago. But aides to the president tell me there is no way that Donald Trump will resign from the presidency despite this latest threat of a second impeachment before he leaves office. As one Trump advisor told me, there is zero chance he will step down because, quote, he doesn't think he did anything wrong.
2 days after he incited a bloody siege at the U.S. Capitol, Donald Trump is facing the head-spinning prospect of becoming the first U.S. president to be impeached twice. His sudden commitment to an orderly transition may be too little too late.
A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. This moment calls for healing and reconciliation.
Good afternoon.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her fellow Democrats are now marching toward impeachment proceedings against the president, all the while making sure Mr. Trump doesn't do anything drastic. As Pelosi told her Democratic colleagues, I spoke to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, to discuss available precautions for preventing an unstable president from initiating military hostilities or accessing the launch codes and ordering a nuclear strike. House Democrats say they're ready to move quickly.
We're not just doing this for the next 12 or 13 days. We're doing this for generations to come. And if we are not willing to state that the acts by the President of the United States to incite domestic terrorism and insurrection is an impeachable offense, then nothing is an impeachable offense.
If the House impeaches the president, some Senate Republicans who didn't vote to convict and remove Mr. Trump the last time around say they may have had a change of heart.
The House, if they come together and have a process, I will definitely consider whatever articles they might move, because as I've told you, I believe the president has disregarded his oath of office.
White House advisors say there is zero chance the president will resign, with one source telling CNN, quote, he doesn't think he did anything wrong. But even former White House officials say Mr. Trump should consider stepping down.
They allowed this myth, this lie to take a life of its own, that the election might be overturned. When the moment called for leadership, he did not do the right thing, and lives were lost because of it.
Some of the president's top enablers are also facing calls to resign, like Republican Senator Ted Cruz, who released a statement condemning the violence at the Capitol, saying, now we must come together and put this anger and division behind us. We must stand side by side as Americans. We must continue to defend our Constitution and the rule of law. That's after he was amping up voters in Georgia, likening them to revolutionary soldiers.
You are patriots, just like the patriots gathered at Bunker Hill, just like the patriots gathered at Valley Forge.
Other Trump loyalists are feeling the wrath of the Trump baits after GOP Senator Lindsey Graham told Mr. Trump to give up his election fight.
And when it's over, it is over. It is over.
Trump supporters were screaming traitor as he walked through the airport.
Lindsey Graham, you are a traitor to the country. You know it was rigged. It's going to be like this forever, wherever you go for the rest of your life.
Mr. Trump signaled he won't congratulate President-elect Joe Biden on his inauguration day, tweeting he won't be going, giving the Capitol a break from having the instigator-in-chief on hand for the transfer of power.
And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
And our sources tell us the president and first lady are expected to leave for Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort on January 19th, one day before the inauguration. Obviously, with the president and the way things are going these days, those plans could change. But we should note to this day that the president still has not taken any responsibility for what happened a couple of days ago. He has not offered any apologies for what happened on January 6th. And Wolf, let's go back to this video that was captured at Reagan National Airport earlier today. Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the president's longtime loyalists, once a critic of the president, but then became a loyalist, arriving at the airport earlier this afternoon. He was met by an angry mob of Trump supporters screaming "traitor" at him. I will tell you, Wolf, we've seen this kind of hostility before. Typically, we see it at Trump rallies and not directed at Republican allies of the president. But it's a reminder, if you turn against this president, the base will turn on you. Wolf.
They certainly will. All right, thanks very much, Jim Acosta, reporting. Let's dig deeper into the new impeachment effort up on Capitol Hill and the draft article obtained by CNN. Our senior congressional correspondent, Manu Raju, is on the scene for us, as he always is. Manu, walk us through how all of this is likely to play out.
Well, already the draft is being circulated and is expected to be introduced on Monday. One article of impeachment, incitement of an insurrection. That's what House Democrats are moving towards at the moment as they discuss how to move quickly to impeach President Trump, making him the first president in history who would be impeached twice. Now, a final decision has not been made about whether to move ahead, but Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, is making all steps to move in that direction. Just moments ago, she instructed her House Rules Committee to set the scene for a floor debate that could occur by the middle of next week. Now, ultimately, the question is, where does it go from there? We expected likely would get support from a majority of House Democrats, which would be enough, or the majority of the House, because it's controlled by Democrats, which would be enough for it to get approved. But in order to convict and remove the president from office, it would need 2/3 support of the Senate during an impeachment trial. The Senate, currently controlled by Republicans, has no appetite to move forward on an impeachment trial before President Trump's time runs out in office on January 20th. And there are questions about whether Democrats will press ahead in the new Biden administration to they could have a trial after Donald Trump leaves office and essentially prevent him from ever running for office again. Those discussions are happening because there are concerns that it could put Biden in a bit of an awkward spot as he's trying to move forward with his agenda, and as Democrats try to go after the former president, Donald Trump. Biden himself would not say if he supports the idea of moving ahead with an impeachment trial at the moment, but there are some signs that Republicans are breaking ranks. One Republican, Lisa Murkowski, became the first Senate Republican to call on Donald Trump to resign. She said, "I want him to resign. I want him out. He has caused enough damage." She went on to say he doesn't want to stay there. He only wants to stay there for the title. He only wants to stay there for his ego. He needs to get out. Very strong words from a sitting Republican senator. The first one to do so far. Some others are open to voting for an articles of impeachment or voting to remove him from office. We'll see if it gets to that point. But at the moment, Wolf, Nancy Pelosi wants Donald Trump to resign. If he doesn't, expect impeachment vote in the House, presumably by the middle of next week.
Yeah, I'm expecting it. Manu, you also have new details about what the president was actually doing as that mob was storming the Capitol. You were right in the middle of it. Thank God you're okay.
Yeah, it was a remarkable development here that Donald Trump was actually trying to continue to fight the Electoral College certification even after the mob came on Capitol Hill, threatened so many people, cost lives, this deadly clash. The president was not consumed with that. He was consumed with trying to get more Republicans to object to further states that were awarded to Joe Biden, to delay the proceedings even further, even though there was no chance Congress would overturn the will of the voters. The president mistakenly placed a phone call to Mike Lee, the Utah Republican senator, on that afternoon on Wednesday, thinking that he actually had called Tommy Tuberville, who's the new freshman senator from Alabama. What the president wanted was to urge Tuberville to object to more states, to drag out the proceedings further. Later in the night at 7 p.m., Rudy Giuliani, the president's lawyer, called Mike Lee again mistakenly, thinking that he was calling Tommy Tuberville, and left a message on Mike Lee's voicemail, thinking that he was leaving a message for Tuberville and saying that Tuberville should continue to object to allow the process to continue to play out. That That was at 7 p.m. roughly Eastern time, hours after the mob had come and stormed Capitol Hill, after all the chaos and destruction of the Capitol. That was still the focus of the president and his legal team at that moment. Tuberville himself was one of just 7 Republicans to vote to throw out the Pennsylvania electoral votes, and one of 6 Republicans to vote to throw out the Arizona electoral votes.
Yeah, that was so sick indeed, especially after those riots developed, very dangerous riots up on Capitol Hill. Manu.